G'day, it's Jerry here. This is my Andonstar soldering microscope. Well, that's what I use it for. I haven't used it for a little bit, and when I got it off the shelf, it didn't turn on. And I don't know if you can hear that, but something's rattling inside. And when I had a look, I discovered that there's just a hole here where the USB connection should be in order to power it on. So something's gone awry. I don't remember dropping it, but who knows. So today we're going to open it up and see if we can't fix that USB connection and get it back up and running. All right, looks like there's 4 screws on the outside. So how does this sucker open? Are there any more screws? There's a battery compartment. 18650 goes in there, so it says. I've never used it with a battery, so you learn something new every day. That's quite handy actually. There's no screw hidden in there. Okay, I think I need to get a spudger. Okay, there was a big click there. So it looks like there is a big clip halfway down the side on here, so that's good. So there's a clip there and a clip here, so this is where the electronics are. One more down there. This bit here seems a lot more difficult. I don't know whether there's something special down there. So looking down internally, I can just see that there are just 2 more clips. But I can also see there's a ribbon cable here, so I'm going to have to go carefully. Here we go. Alright, so there's not much inside. So we've got 2 ribbon cables. Here is my missing, USB. That's okay, so I think we will disconnect the ribbon cables from this side. See how we go. Here we go. So both ribbons cables just flipped up. Hopefully that'll come out and just make it a bit easier. Okay, so now I can get that screen part off. So then we need to get this board off as well if we're going to see if we can repair that USB port. Okay, what else we got here? Okay, so we've got another cable that connects the actual camera portion of it to this board. And it looks to me as though this is one of these ones that just push out the clip. It's not a flip up. And what have we got left? We've got the power. So let me crank up the soldering iron and we'll remove the power cables and then we should be able to work on this board. Yeah. Really difficult to desolder that with this small tip. I'm going to swap out the tip. There we go. So this is the board here, and here is the rogue USB port that we have to solder back on. But first we need to go down here and have a look to see whether any of the traces have been ripped off or any other damage has occurred. To me that looks as though all of the pads are still there. It's just torn itself out. I won't know till I apply some heat to those and see if they flow, but yeah, that just looks like it hasn't been attached very well and it's just torn straight off. Okay, I'm going to try and clean up these pads and see what we've got underneath. It's proving quite difficult. Just going to apply some fresh leaded solder and then clean them off again. And that looks good. I don't think we've lost any traces. So that's excellent news. So I had a lot of trouble getting the solder wick to work on this, especially in the through holes. So I ended up having to put the largest tip that I had with a flat end on it on my soldering iron and crank it all the way up. And then I got enough surface area on the end of the soldering iron to do that. I'm going to put a bit of solder on these pads now that they've been cleaned up. I don't want these to be too high or else the adapter won't fit on it. Okay, I've decided that I'm going to try and use hot air to solder this on. I've never done it before, and since there aren't really any components around it that I can destroy, I mean, that's not saying that I can't destroy them, but it's not like I've got plastic bits surrounding them. I thought it might be a good opportunity to have a go. Now, I probably shouldn't have filled in those anchor points, should I? Not really sure. Oh well. So let us try. So I've got the hot air on 320 at 30%, and I've got a fairly small tip on it. Apply the hot air and see what happens. I've got plenty of these spare adapters if I screw it up, so why not? So I think I might be better off actually removing the solder from here using the soldering iron and placing it down so it sits solidly, and then attempting to solder these, and then I'll solder the anchor points with a soldering iron later. Excellent. So now that is sitting inside the anchor points. Is that actually attached? No, not at all. Okay, so I've done that for quite some time, but I don't really see any change. I don't think that's done anything. Okay, I'm going to bump up the airflow to 40 and the temperature to 335. To be honest, I don't really see any difference. I keep waiting for this one over here to look as though it's melted, but I don't know, it does appear to be stuck there. I guess I'll have to look closer. Let's come down. No, they're definitely not soldered. Okay, so I'm going to 345. Nothing. Going to turn the fan up to 50. So 50 at 345 degrees. Only looks like one of the pins actually made it. So I don't know whether it's not sitting down far enough. Let's just try this again. You know what? I'm going to bump this up to 350 with an airflow of 55. Now I feel like I've potentially melted the plastic inside. Yeah. So is that getting too hot? I mean, I can easily do this with a soldering iron, but it's not really the point. You know, I wanted to try it with a hot air. No. Nope, that has not worked. What should I do? Keep bumping it up? You know what, I'm going to go to 360. That's it. I'm quite happy to destroy the little adapter. I've got plenty more of them. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and melt it without the actual plug on it and see if it does melt. Because there's no point trying to solder the plug onto it if I can't even melt the solder. Okay, so I'm going to increase the fan speed. Full bore. See if that makes a difference. I feel like I'm really upsetting this lead that's over here. Perhaps I should have protected that lead a bit more. Does it look a bit burnt? Let me get some tape or something to try and protect that. This time I've got 50% airspeed and 380 degrees in temperature. Okay, so it is melted. Okay, let's try this again. It's not quite, and I don't know what it is, whether there's too much solder. It's preventing them from sitting down correctly. Yeah, honestly, I think there was too much solder on there for it to sit down properly. Right, so I think that's pretty much done. I think it's time to put this back together and see if it works. Having looked inside this, it looks okay, but it does look like the plastic's seen a little bit too much heat. So I'm not really happy with my hot air skills. That's something I'm going to have to work on. But mechanically, it's perfectly fine now. So let's put it back into the chassis and see whether or not we've fixed the problem. Just as a side note, I notice a couple of things when I look around this board. One of them is that there is an unpopulated speaker header here, and down here this looks suspiciously like a microphone. So I'm wondering whether there's any possibility of getting that to work. I'll have to put it back together to remember whether or not it does do any audio at all, because that would be really helpful to me, because I don't use it a lot because I find it hard to synchronize the video footage that is on this SD card with my videos. My skills aren't that great, but it would be much easier if it actually recorded some audio. Doesn't have to be great audio, but just something that I can use to synchronize the video. So yeah, there's some possibilities there for upgrading. But first of all, we need to figure out whether or not it's working. So let's do that now. Okay, so I was just trying to fit this in place, and I realized that the adapter is slightly different shape to the original one. Just a tiny little bit out, and so it won't fit through this hole. But I also noticed that the hole has been hand routed out. It looks like it's been filed out. So I just need to increase this hole here to fit the new plug in. Let me see if I can find my files. Okay, so that's fitting in now. Let's put it back together. Okay, so here's the sort of part of the special cabling that this thing comes with. Whoa, there we go. We now have power. Ooh, that isn't looking too good, is it? Probably the ribbon cable, I hope. Looks terrible, doesn't it? Okay, one sec. No. It almost looks as though it's got a cracked screen, but is that right? Did I crack the screen and not even realize? Ah, I reckon that's what it is. It's fallen on the ground. And now the screen is actually cracked. Yeah, so there's nothing here on the outer part of the screen, but clearly it must be cracked on the inside. Oh, what a pity. I've gone to all that trouble. I'm pretty sure the screen is cracked, but I just had a look down here, and this ribbon cable doesn't look like it's seated in correctly either. So let me just reseat that. No. Yeah, it's definitely got a crack in the screen up here. Ah, what a pity. Let's just take a look at the screen just to be sure. No, it's all sealed up. You can't look inside. Well, what a pity. So we fixed the USB outlet, only to find that it has a cracked screen. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. That just gives me the opportunity to buy another one of these. This is very old, and I don't use it very much. I don't use it in videos at all because it doesn't have audio, and you can only capture video on an SD card. So a good opportunity to purchase a new one, because absolutely these things are fantastic if you want to do soldering. And since I purchased this, the newer models have HDMI out and all of that sort of stuff that would be really useful for me. You know, you win some, you lose some. So it's not all bad. Anyway, I had some fun opening it up and seeing what was inside, fixing the USB, giving hot air a bit of a go. I think that's something I need to work on. Don't quite have the skills necessary for that. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'll catch you on the next one. Ciao.